One of the things that we discovered is when you mill tartary buckwheat seeds, 25% of the seed is the hull or the husk. And when we started analyzing the makeup of the husk, and when I say analyzing, I mean chemically analyzing, we found out that it has some really interesting phytochemicals that are not found in the endosperm, in the flower. Things like isoarentin and vitexin. These are really interesting prebiotic phytochemicals that help nourish the microbiome, as well as interesting prebiotic fibers like decarboinositol, which is very high in the hull fibers as well. So we thought, my word, people have been using the hulls of the tartary buckwheat to put into beanbag chairs and as filling in pillows. It seems to us that these might have really very powerful effects, favorable effects on the microbiome and microbiome health.
What are you actually taking? Because I think 2 bottles of my pantry that you sent me that are labeled the same as the Big Bold Health, the label on the flour of the Himalayan Tartary Buckwheat that you sent me. So what are in those 2 supplements that you sent? I think one was like an immune support and one was some kind of a microbiome support.
Yeah, the first product that we produced to kind of get people into this whole concept of Himalayan Tartary Buckwheat, we called HTB Rejuvenate, and it is a concentrate of the flavonoids found in tartary buckwheat, so that if one ate and took 2 capsules a day, it would be equivalent to eating about 1 portion size of the Himalayan tartary buckwheat.
That's exactly what I was wondering, like how much flour I'd have to eat to get what was in one of these capsules.
Yeah, it's about 1 portion size of the flour of Himalayan tartary buckwheat. We just finished a clinical trial that was clintrial.gov registered with 50 individuals. It was very exciting. We, at least it was exciting for us. We went back and used this emerging way of assessing how the immune system ages, which is to actually study the epigenetic modification of the immune system using a specific gene chip that measures over 90,000, specific loci where the genes of the immune system can be modified by diet or lifestyle or environmental exposures. This is actually measuring the methylation patterns of the human genome. And so we started with a baseline of our 50 individuals before they got into the program. And then for 90 days, they supplemented, in this case, with 4 of the capsules per day of the HTB Rejuvenate. And then we measured every month over those 90 days, so 3 months, their response to taking the HTB flavonoids. And it was really very interesting. At the end of the trial, we found those individuals whose immune age were greater than their age and birthdays, their chronological age, that they had a very significant reduction in their immune age over the course of 90 days by taking what would be considered like 2 portion sizes of Himalayan Tartary Buckwheat flour through the concentrate. So I think we're the first group to actually demonstrate that we can modulate the epigenetic impact on immune cell aging through the taking of these complex mixture of these polyphenols from Himalayan Tartary Buckwheat.
That's fast. If I want to test my immune age, how would I do that? Do you guys have that test available?
Yeah, we actually partnered up with a company called True Diagnostic that's in Tennessee.
Yeah, it's Ryan Smith, right?
Yeah, so Ryan was one of our collaborators in this study with his group, Dr. Dwarka, and that group. So, and in fact, the reason we got into this initially was I personally started into our Immunity Plus program with the HTB, and just to see if it had an impact on my immune aging. And it was actually quite amazing to me because at the time I was 75. When I was first tested, my immune age was 69. I then went on the program with the Himalayan Tartary Buckwheat and the time-restricted feeding and the 10,000 steps a day. The program you really outlined, I went on, and we call it Immunity Plus program. And that was 3 months. I retested, and my immune age at the end of retesting went to 54. even though I was a year older, I was 76, my immune age went from 69 to 54. So
Hmm.
I became kind of a believer.
Yeah.
And that's what led us into this whole clinical trial.
Okay. So is that's somebody would have to order through their doctor, or is it one of those ones you can order to your house?
I think you can order it directly from
Okay.
True Diagnostic. Yeah.
Okay. I'll hunt it down and put it in the show notes. Again, it's going to be bengreenfieldlife.com/ Dr. Bland, Dr. Bland. I mentioned it briefly, so I'd be remiss not to just ask you directly about it. What do you think about this whole seeming infatuation in the age reversal industry about low dose rapamycin?
Well, I think there's a lot of exciting things happening on this whole concept of understanding biological aging, and there's been some really great books that have. David Sloan Clare's book, I think, is a really fantastic kind of review of the contemporary research that's ongoing. I think Mark Hyman's new book is a wonderful read for the general consumer on timeless aging and how one can implement many of these lifestyle characteristics, and some of the research that's going on with things like rapamycin and the niacin riboside and some of the other senolytic compounds that are being discussed. Senolytic meaning breaking the aging of cells. But I think we're still early on in the pharmacology of this field. What we're not so early on, as you and I were discussing earlier, is how the things that you can do every day by implementing in your lifestyle fairly simple things that can make dramatic differences. I mean, for me, when I saw that my immune age went from 69 to 54 by implementing and really staying to task, I've always felt that I've been engaged in a healthy lifestyle and really was on the right track. But by really concentrating and tuning it up and the kind of discipline that it takes to make this a daily engagement, to see that benefit, to me, it exceeds anything you would get from taking a senolytic at this point. So, and then we look at that and denosumab with quercetin, which is the one that's been studied. Well, that's an anti-cancer drug that has antimitotic activity. So, how hard do we want to push our body to squeeze out some extra years, or would we like to do things that are pleasurable, fun, and open us to all sorts of new opportunities of higher function, which is living a good lifestyle? Maybe that's the best principle.
Yeah, my take on it is I'd rather eat some sourdough baked bread and donuts at home with the Himalayan Tartary flour than take these capsules on the road with me, which is actually what I started doing with the theory that my immune system needs a little bit of extra support when I travel, and I'm not eating a lot of kind of like the high nutrient dense baked goodies and plants and things like that at home when I'm on the road. And my last trip, I threw that bottle that you sent me into my bag, and I was popping a couple every morning. But then I also took that, it's like a small green capsule, like a microbiome support type of capsule. Is that similar to the Himalayan Tartary Buckwheat capsule or totally different?
Yeah, well, thank you. That as we've gotten deeper into this reminds me of how long does it take to become an expert? And so I think we've got our 10,000 hours at least now of trying to understand this Tartary buckwheat, because one of the things that we discovered is when you mill Tartary buckwheat seeds, that 25% of the seed is the hull or the husk. And when we started analyzing the makeup of the husk, and when I say analyzing, I mean chemically analyzing, we found out that it has some really interesting phytochemicals that are not found in the endosperm, in the flower. Things like isoaurentin and vitexin. These are really interesting prebiotic phytochemicals that help nourish the microbiome, as well as interesting prebiotic fibers like D-chirboinositol, which is very high in the hull fibers as well. So we thought, my word, people have been using the hulls of the Tartary buckwheat to put into beanbag chairs and as filling in pillows. It seems to us that these might have really very powerful effects, favorable effects on the microbiome and microbiome health. So we started studying that over the course of the last couple of years, and lo and behold, we were able to demonstrate that this thing that was considered a waste product was actually not a waste product. It had very strong positive benefit on the integrity of our microbiome and the right kind of species of our microbiome that give rise to anti-inflammation. So we formulated this product, Microbiome Rejuvenate, to capture that. along with a very interesting probiotic organism, Lactobacillus rhamnosus 1505, that has probably more studies done on human benefit than any single probiotic strain. In fact, it's used in Argentina in school kids programs to improve their digestive function and reduce days of absenteeism from colds and flu. And we also found this single interesting greens, microgreens, this interesting beta-glucan from microgreens that has very strong immune potentiating activities on the microbiome as well. So that became the ingredients that are found in Microbiome Rejuvenate, the probiotic Lactobacillus rhamnosus 1505, the beta-glucans from this unicellular microgreens, and then our Hall's Himalayan Tartary Buckwheat, the pre-symbiotics that give rise to improved microbiome. So 2 capsules a day of the Microbiome Rejuvenate are equivalent to about 10 billion organisms. These are all based on human clinical trials and positive outcome in microbiome health.